All right, folks, welcome to another President Trump press briefing from the White House. As you guys can tell, not everyone was notified. There are some patriots that got notified, most patriots did not. So we are going to be sending all of the text messages right now to everyone to let them know that we are now live and that YouTube did not send notifications to everyone like they were supposed to. So thank you so much for choosing Golden State Times as your stream of choice. All we ask for is if you can please share this live stream on social media, and don't forget to click the thumbs up button, folks. It helps us out immensely. We hope that you guys got notified by YouTube, but if you didn't get notified by YouTube, then and you want to sign up to get notified every single day, all you have to do is send me a text message with the word Trump Live to the number 555888, and I will send you a notification instead of YouTube. So if you want to sign up to our text message notification list, all you have to do is send me a text message with the word Trump Live to the number 555888. And I'll notify you instead of YouTube for future press briefings. All right, folks, we'll be switching over in just a few moments. I'm just going to be sending out text messages, emails, and if you see our live stream post on Twitter, make sure you retweet it and you also like it, but also share the live stream on your own Twitters and Facebooks and YouTubes and stuff like that. So thank you so much, folks, and we'll see you guys in the chat. All right, folks, so the footage that you see in front of your screen is live. This is live from the White House. This is live from the White House press briefing room. Don't forget, folks, if you share the live stream on Twitter, we'll give you guys a quick shout out as a thank you for your support. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times to stay up to date on everything that is going on in politics, breaking news, scoops, and everything else in between. This is live footage from inside the White House press briefing room as we await President Trump. The hot mic should be on in just a few moments. As you guys can see, the only people in the room are all these 4 techs. These 4 techs are the only ones in the room. So there's not much chatter now, but we're making sure that the hot mic, we're turning it on, we're making sure it's working correctly and everything is running smoothly. Once again, don't forget to share the live stream on social media. That's the best way to help out Golden State Times. We're only alive and running here on YouTube because of your help and your support, sharing the stream on Facebook, sharing it on Twitter, on Gab, on Reddit, through email, through text message. You guys are amazing of how much you guys help us. The best way to help us is by sharing the live stream. Thank you so much, folks, and I'll see you in the chat. I'll be giving shout outs in just a few moments. If anybody is helping us out through Super Chat or through membership or through sharing the stream, following us on Twitter, we'll be giving shout outs in just a few moments. Thank you so much, folks, and I'll see you in the chat. All right, folks, so it looks like some patriots are getting notified later by YouTube than normal. That is really strange. Usually they don't send anything at all, but that's a good sign. That's a very good sign. Now more patriots are going to be able to know that we are live and ready to go for President Trump. As you guys can see, they're fixing some lighting, they're fixing some camera work. I don't know what's going on with this fake news, but they're touching stuff. They go around touching stuff, infecting stuff. But like I said, I heard that some patriots are getting notified a little bit later. Like they got notified like a minute ago, and we started streaming around 10 minutes ago. But at least people are getting notified. We also sent notifications through email. So if you got an email and you're already here, thank you so much for being awesome, for staying on it and already tuning in. But if you guys can help us out by forwarding that email, if you're already here and you got one, that would be amazing. Just to anybody that would listen. It doesn't matter who it is. Just anybody that would listen. That would be great. Also, if you got a notification through text message, and you're already here, well, thank you so much for being awesome and being here nice and early. If you can forward that text message to somebody else that would listen, then that would be amazing too. We'll be giving shout outs to everyone that is sharing the live stream on Twitter. So if you do have a Twitter, make sure you share the live stream on there. And also follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times, GOLD State Times, all together at Gold State Times. And make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, and we'll also give you a shout out as a thank you for your support. That lets us know that you want to stay up to date on everything that is going on in politics. As you guys probably saw on social media or on our Twitter, there was a couple protests going on in different cities. Texas was one of them. Also, there was some protests going on in different parts of Florida, California within the last few hours and stuff like that. So more of those are going to be coming very soon if they do not lift the stay-at-home orders according to the patriots that are protesting. So stay tuned for that. More coverage on that on our Twitter at Gold State Times. We should be the hot mic should be on in just a few moments, folks. We're making some last second tweaks here and there, and we'll turn on the hot mic and we'll go on from there, give shout outs and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for choosing Golden State Times as your stream of choice. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice here at Golden State Times. We're going to be giving shout outs to everyone that is sharing the live stream on Twitter and also following us on Twitter at Gold State Times. So if you share the live stream, don't forget to follow us. If you're already following us, thank you so much for being awesome and staying up to date on everything that is going on in politics, news, breaking news, and scoops. We also would like to ask if you could like the stream. It's very important because that lets YouTube know that you want to see this and that more patriots are going to be able to see it. So don't forget, folks, if you just joined us in the chat or if you just came into the live stream, click the thumbs up button, say hello in the chat. Both of those things help out this live stream a lot. So don't forget to click the thumbs up button. And don't forget to say hello in the chat. If you're new to this channel and you're looking for a network that covers President Trump completely, fairly, and completely 24/7, 365, then make sure you subscribe and you click that notification bell. We show you raw footage of all the press briefings, speeches, press conferences, meetings, State Department, Congress, the Senate, everything. We show you everything in full without any interruption. We cover the president fairly and completely without any interruption. So if that's the type of coverage you've been looking for, make sure you click that subscribe button and that notification bell. All right, so we're going to be starting off with DCDocumentReports.com. Thank you so much for your support, your continued support here at Golden State Times. And we'd like to thank you so much for sharing the live stream. Let's see, we are going to be starting off here. DC Document Reports, thank you so much once again. And we also have Jeanette, thank you so much, Jeanette, and also Sharon. Thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing the live stream on social media. Let me see real quick. There we go. And we also have Zarmos 2017 Bag Lady. We also have Marianne. Thank you so much, Marianne, for sharing the stream. Undying Night Gaming. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Box of Frogs. Thank you so much for your continued support. We also have Gladys and Trip. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. We have Bobby Baxter voted for Trump. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. We have the MAGA Predator. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. We also have Rita Pilgrim. And we have Pirate GFX. Let's see. We also have Rexer P sharing the stream. We have Maggie M sharing the stream. We also have Larry. Thank you so much, Larry, sharing the stream. We have Heather. And we also have Harriet. Thank you so much for sharing the stream on social media. We have H. James Pinkerton. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Vinny. Thank you so much, Vinny, for your continued support. Donna Ray Benz, thank you so much for sharing the live stream on social media. Frank Denatel Jr., thank you so much for your continued support. Also, Dennis Stoles, thank you so much, Dennis, for your support. Sharing the live stream is the best way to help out Golden State Times, folks. It's 100% free, 100% hassle-free. All you have to do is copy and paste the link to this live stream on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Gab, on your Reddit, Parler, or whatever other social media you have. If you're part of the groups on Facebook and Twitter, and if you are parts of the groups on Reddit, make sure you share it on there too. If you have a Discord, we don't have one, but if you do, then make sure you share it on there too. Thank you so much. William Harrison, thank you so much, William, for sharing the stream. We also have Bernard. Thank you so much, Bernard. We have Q sent me. Thank you so much, Q sent me. We also have Judy. Thank you so much, Judy. Chris B sharing the stream. We have Tina Angelo. Thank you so much for your continued support. Tom Fitton is hot. That's the name of the user, not something I said. Thank you so much for your help. Country Girl, thank you so much for your help sharing the stream. We also have GMC Neil 7. Thank you so much for sharing the stream, helping us out. Deplorable Lupo, thank you so much for your support. sharing the live stream and helping us out. Thank you so much for supporting the free press. Red Pilled Former Dem, thank you so much for sharing the stream and supporting the free press. BTO is me, thank you so much for sharing the stream and supporting the free press. Eddie Molina, thank you so much for your support, your continued support, Eddie. Thank you so much. Midrid Van Hoos, thank you so much for sharing the stream and your continued support. Dog Mom 3, thank you so much for helping us out. Let's see, who else do we have on here, folks? High Hopes, thank you so much, High Hopes, sharing the live stream on social media. We also have Kay Anderson, thank you so much, Kay. We have Jay Legursky, thank you so much, Jay. And we also have Ambassador of Truth, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Deplorable Trump Lover, thank you so much for sharing the stream. And we also have Lawyer 40 Years, Sean Rounds, and we also have here Patriot Gale, thank you so much, Patriot Gale. And we also have Surl Talk, thank you so much for sharing the live stream. Let's see here, who else do we have, folks? We also have Janice, thank you so much, Janice, and Rexer. And Rexer P, thank you so much for your continued support. Roxy Spencer, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Catherine Denise Judson, thank you so much, Catherine. And we also have Calendula 2016, thank you so much, Cal. And we also have Bill Mitch, and we have Susan T, and Mayor Tawasha, thank you so much for your continued support. Cass Mouse, thank you so much for sharing the stream. And I think, oh, Cutie Pie, thank you so much, Cutie Pie, for sharing the stream. All right, folks, so I'll be back on the microphone in just a few moments. Here, let me see who is following us on Twitter, and then we will refresh and give more shout outs in a few moments. We have Ilio, we have David Wells, Maureen, Wilson Lawn Services 101. Thank you so much for following us on Twitter at Gold State Times. We also have David Brinker, we have Sarah James, and we also have Melanie. We have Terrence Shields, Ernesto, thank you so much for following us on Twitter at Gold State Times. Kafifi, aka Corn, Trump Girl on Fire, KL, Robert Roche, Whippy, and Carol NZ, or Carol New Zealand. Thank you so much for following us on Twitter. Let's see if anybody else is following us on Twitter so we can give them a shout out as a thank you for your support. And that also lets us know that you want to stay up to date on everything that is going on in politics, breaking news, and news. Let's see here. We have Gashmaster. I think that's it. All right, Gashmaster, thank you so much for following us on Twitter at Gold State Times. All right, folks, I'll be back on the microphone to give more shout outs to everyone that is sharing the stream on social media in just a few moments.
Oh, it's good. You still get one? Okay. Yeah. Now, when I did that, just when you get it perfect, put that
right,
sandbag
folks.
on the plate and the
Hot mic.
boom.
The hot mic is on. The hot mic is now on.
Almost.
I'm going to let everyone know in the chat. The hot mic is now on.
Gonna come to the door? Or?
Nope, you are good.
Yeah.
And just like that. And done.
Yeah.
Then how do I lock this?
Should be the big knob tight. Yeah.
Looks double fit. I'd say. Oh yeah. Done.
You got all your cables and stuff?
Yep, plugging in now.
Cool.
That was easy.
Second round.
Watch out, man. Watch out.
I'm waiting. 15 lecture. Yeah. So.
I can't get up.
It's over, dude. It's over.
Bill's back.
That was awesome.
Hello, how you doing?
Let's see that.
Hey, look at Mike. I think look at that. This Mike's a nice guy. You okay?
These things go. It really is right. Sometimes they don't. There was no schedule for this briefing this morning, so. Thanks.
I don't get a seat today, so I'm counting on you too. Anything you want to ask? What's your phone number? I love
Part of me was like, I really want to question the other person. Just make me cold.
And you know, you have to hold on. But yeah, that's definitely.
We have a.
I'm waiting.
I'll get there. Yeah, is there always more? Yeah.
Even then, sometimes they've done some notes as well. Say if there's something
Here's if you want.
On the inside?
Do you want white or something? Is there anything you want right now? I can bring you a clean white.
All right, folks. So we are going to be giving out shout outs to everyone that is sharing the live stream on social media. So if you share the live stream on Twitter, we'll give you a quick shout out as a thank you for your support.
Okay, thank you.
That's the only way that we come up on search, folks. It's, you know, that's why it's very important when Patriots share the live streams and our videos, because we don't come up on search. So we try to do the best we can so Patriots can know that we are live. We're going to be starting off with Audrey. Thank you so much, Audrey, for sharing the live stream on social media. Let's see who else is sharing the live stream. Give me 1 second here. All right, and we see here Orlando M sharing the stream. Thank you so much. Donna Purdue, thank you so much for sharing the stream. We also like to give a big thank you to Kathy Bennett for becoming a member, believing in Golden State Times, and supporting the free press. So now, Kathy, every single time that you type in the chat or in the comment section of our videos, a Trump hat will come up next to your name to let everyone know that you support the free press. Thank you so much. Carl M. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. Box of Frogs, thank you so much for your continued support. We also have Tennessee Judy, thank you so much for sharing the stream. And Cal Farts, thank you so much, Cal Farts, for your continued support. We also have Alma, thank you so much, Alma, for sharing the stream. We also have Executive Producer, thank you so much for your support. Trump Girl Forever, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Steve, thank you so much, Steve, for sharing the stream. We also have Tim Gibson, sharing the stream. Catherine, thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing the stream. We also have Maga Media, thank you so much, Maga Media, for sharing the live stream on social media. We also want to give a big thank you to Alberto Diaz Saladana. Thank you so much for supporting us through Super Chat. And if you want to read what Alberto Diaz said, all you have to do is just click on the orange Super Chat on the top. Very interesting stuff. Thank you so much once again to Alberto Diaz. We also want to give a big thank you to Swalwell 2 Drinks Taylor. Thanks so much for sharing the stream. And we also have here, let's see, we have Delano Sally. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. We also have LP Pro Rider. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. And we also have Rob Sinclair, Kevin, and Silver State Stacker. Thank you so much. Grizzly the Old Nam Vet. Thank you so much. We also have SDK Boo sharing the stream. And we have Sharon sharing the stream. Thank you so much. We also have Jason Rout. Thank you so much. And Janet. All right, folks. So if you share the live stream on Twitter, or if you follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times, then we'll give you a shout out as a thank you for your support. We also want to give a big thank you to Tiffany's Epiphany for sharing the stream. Lisa Baker, thank you so much for sharing the stream. Heroin Chic, thank you so much for sharing the stream. And let's see here, we also have Faith English. Thank you so much for sharing the stream. We want to give a big thank you and a welcome to Lorraine Jordan for becoming a new member, believing in Golden State Times, and supporting the free press. So Lorraine, every single time that you type in the chat or you type in the comment section of our videos, a Trump hat will come up next to your name to let everyone know that you support the free press. So thank you so much for your help. Cannabis Cuisine, thank you so much for your support through Super Chat. Cannabis Cuisine is awesome. Go and check them out. It says, cheers to cannabis and freedom. So that is what Cannabis Cuisine says on Super Chat. Thank you so much for your support, brother. Go and check them out. Cannabis Cuisine, if it's legal in your state. All right, so Faith English, thank you so much for your support. We also have Audrey sharing the live stream, and we have Lina Ronfola. Thank you so much for sharing the live stream on social media. We also have Ants. Thanks so much, Ants. And Brandon DeLeon. Thank you so much for your continued support, Brandon. We also have here Oscar Rivera. Thank you so much for your super chat emoji. Thank you so much. It says, keep it up. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Golden State Times. All right, folks, we'll be back on the microphone in just a few moments to give more shout outs to everyone that is following us on Twitter at Gold State Times. Just like, let's see, we have new followers on Twitter. We have Deplorable Granny, Alma Silberstein. We also have Patriot Mama Bear. We also have Tank and Bernilda. I apologize if I said it wrong. Bernilda Marty. And we also have Krina and Gashmaster and Aliu and David Wells and Maureen. Thank you so much for following us on Twitter.
Yeah. You're the guy who's always in town.
Sure, I don't go out of town, so. Yeah, that's
That's always good. And you're really trying to get it so that you get 2 weeks off pay. Right?
Whoever I'm working for, they're gonna pay.
Watching boxing matches from 1986.
I do, over.
You need anything else, Nick?
So,
Alright.
it's made a very easy.
This is your 2-minute warning.
All right, folks, 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. President Trump is coming out very, very soon. 2-minute warning, folks. They're on time this time. Here we go. This is this is going to be very, very interesting. Not only are the TVs out, the TVs are out, which means two things: either they have slides, or President Trump is about to expose some people, and also they're starting right on time. Right on time. Here we go. Don't forget to share the stream on social media and click the thumbs up button, folks. We need your help now more than ever before. Also, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and share the stream.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. We continue to see a number of positive signs that the virus has passed its peak. It's been very devastating all over the world, 184 countries, probably more. This number was as of a week ago. Dr. Birx will walk through some of these trends in a few moments, but they're very positive trends for winning. Going to win. Going to close it out. While we mourn the tragic loss of life, and you can't mourn it any stronger than we're mourning it, the United States has produced dramatically better health outcomes than any other country, with a possible exception of Germany, and I think we're as good or better. On a per capita basis, remember that, on a per capita basis, our mortality rate is far lower than other nations of Western Europe, with the lone exception of possibly Germany. This includes the UK, Switzerland, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy, France. Spain, for example, has a mortality rate that is nearly 4 times that of the United States. But you don't hear that. You hear we have more death. But we're a much bigger country than any of those countries, by far. So when the fake news gets out there and they start talking about the United States as number one, but we're not number one, China's number one, just so you understand. China's number one by a lot. It's not even close. They're way ahead of us in terms of death. It's not even close. You know it. I know it. They know it. But you don't want to report it. Why? You'll have to explain that. Someday I'll explain it. Since we released the guidelines to open up America again, and this was 2 days ago, a number of states led by both Democrat and Republican governors have announced concrete steps to begin a safe, gradual, and phased opening. Texas and Vermont will allow certain businesses to open on Monday while still requiring appropriate social distancing precautions. And I can tell you the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, he knows what he's doing. He's a great governor. He knows exactly what he's doing. Montana will begin lifting restrictions on Friday. Ohio, North Dakota, and Idaho have advised non-essential businesses to prepare for a phased opening starting May 1st. Throughout this crisis, my administration has taken unprecedented actions to rush economic relief to our citizens. As an example, you don't hear anymore about ventilators. What happened to the ventilators? And now they're giving you the other. It's called testing. But they don't want to use all of the capacity that we've created. We have tremendous capacity. Dr. Birx will be explaining that. They know that. The governors know that. The Democrat governors know that. They're the ones that are complaining. Through the Paycheck Protection Program, we've already processed nearly $350 billion to 1.6 million small businesses across the nation to keep American workers on the payroll. So we're asking the Democrats to get it done. This should be bipartisan. This should be 100% vote. And it's really been incredible. The $350 billion that's been approved is so popular, and it's keeping businesses open. They'll be open, hopefully forever. Our swift action is directly supporting 30 million American jobs. Amy Wright from North Carolina, as an example, said the program is a game changer for her and her family. It's coffee shops, and she has 120 employees, many of whom have developmental and intellectual disabilities. And now they're all staying, and they're getting paid, and she's got a dream, and it's going to take place very quickly when she opens again. So, Amy, good luck. North Carolina, great place. Scott and Julie Alderink help lead a church and own a restaurant in South Dakota with about 15 employees. They were already starting layoffs. Layoffs were moving along rapidly. But now they've hired their employees back, and they can keep their restaurant open, and it'll be moving quickly, very quickly, as opposed to not having anybody and probably not having a place to have all of these people employed. She would have been out of business. She would have been gone. The Paycheck Protection Program funding is now fully drained. It's out. It's gone. $350 billion to small businesses. And in turn, it goes to the employees of those small businesses. Lawmakers must stop blocking these funds and replenish the program without delay. The Democrats have to come on board. I used to read that these were Democrat programs, not Republican. Seems to have switched around a lot, hasn't it, huh? Switched around a lot. The Republicans want it. I think the Democrats probably do too. But they also want other things that are unacceptable. This is about COVID. This is about the plague and what it's done to us. This isn't about extraneous things that they've been trying to get for years and that our country doesn't want them to have. As we enter the next stage of our battle, we are continuing our relentless effort to destroy the virus. My administration is taking steps to protect high-risk communities by providing funding for 13,000 community health center sites and mobile medical stations in order to equip them with the most advanced and robust testing capabilities. These sites are incredible. What they can do is incredible. The job they do is incredible. These centers provide care to 28 million people living in medically underserved urban and rural regions, including many African American and Hispanic communities. We're taking care of them. And it's so important because you've all been reading about the disproportionate numbers on African American, and you're reading a little bit less about Hispanic, but likewise Hispanic communities. The numbers are disproportionate. In fact, we're doing big studies on it right now. We don't like it. Not right. Nationwide, we've now conducted over 4 million tests, and Deborah will be talking about that. It's double the number conducted by any other country on earth. So that's more than 2 times, actually, the number conducted by any other country on earth. You hear so much about testing. What we've done is incredible in testing. And I started with an obsolete, broken system from a previous administration or administrations. But I would really say administration for a different reason, because testing has become so advanced over the last number of years. And we have the most advanced of all. I spoke with other nations this morning, the leaders, and they all are talking about our great testing capability, and some of them want to know what to do. How can they get involved, because they need it for their own countries. In Louisiana, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, and other hotspots, we have also tested more people per capita, by far, than Italy, Spain, Germany, France, and the United Kingdom, and all other major countries. So think of that. In New York, for instance, per capita testing is 6% higher than in Singapore. In fact, there's a typo. It's 67% higher. There's a big difference. I'd say there's a big difference between 6% and 60%. I was looking, I said, 6% doesn't look too good. It's 67%. Good job out there. Higher than Singapore, 64% higher than South Korea, and 47% higher than Australia. So it's 67% higher than Singapore, which is a very advanced place in terms of what they're doing. My administration has also been speaking frequently with many of the governors to help them find and unlock the vast unused testing capacity that exists in their states. Dr. Birx discussed yesterday the commercial and academic laboratories in the states have tremendous unused capability, which they can use. The governor should use it. Tremendous unused capability. They're waiting for business from these governors that some of them complain. I must tell you, for the most part, we're getting along great with them, but some of them like to complain. But I still go back, because the hardest thing of all, by far, by a factor of 20, is the ventilators. And now we're the king of ventilators. We have ventilators. We're going to be helping other countries very soon. We're going to be helping Mexico. I spoke with the president of Mexico. He's great, great guy. And I told him we're going to be helping him. They desperately in Mexico need ventilators, and I told him we're going to be helping him very substantially. We're in a position to do that. We're building now thousands a week, and they're coming in rapidly, and they're very, very high quality. But we're also helping governors to develop strategies to smartly deploy their testing capacity to protect vulnerable and underserved populations while getting Americans at lower risk safely back to work. So again, we have tremendous testing capacity. Now, a lot of people like the Abbott test that we came up with. Abbott is a brand new technology, brand new test. It's great. It's 5 minutes, boom, you put it in. And we're making thousands of machines. Abbott is making thousands and thousands of machines, but not everybody's going to get that one, but they're going to get others. We have numerous platforms, which we'll talk about in a minute. Unfortunately, some partisan voices are attempting to politicize the issue of testing, which they shouldn't be doing, because I inherited broken junk, just as they did with ventilators, where we had virtually none, and the hospitals were empty. For the most part, the hospitals didn't have ventilators. We had to take care of the whole country, and we did a job, the likes of which nobody. We assembled an army of young, brilliant people, for the most part young, a couple of older ones. but for the most part, they were young, brilliant geniuses that did a job like nobody would believe. I wish you could have seen it. Round the clock. And now the rest of the world's coming to us asking if we could help them with ventilators, because they're very complicated, very expensive. They're very hard to build. And we have them coming in by the thousands. But you don't hear that from even the governors. Nobody's complaining about ventilators. And if there was a surge, we could have ventilators to them within hours, because we have in stockpile almost 10,000 ventilators. You don't hear about hospital beds. When I first started, everyone was talking, oh, hospital beds, hospital beds. The governor of New York correctly asked me for hospital beds, and we got the Army Corps of Engineers out, and they built them. He needed them. I mean, I know he said that we were projecting. We're not projecting New York. We're listening to the governors. He wanted them. He needed them, and we gave him thousands of beds in Javits Center. We brought the ship. Then the ship, we had it converted to a COVID-19, and that was a big deal, by the way, because of ventilation and all the things we had to do, but we did. And fortunately for him and for us, all of us, they haven't used either one very much because the numbers have gone down significantly. But it was there, and it was built, and it was beautiful. 2,900 beds. It was incredible what they did. They did it in a matter of a few days. But unfortunately, and it was very good, the relationship was very good. And I'm frankly glad they don't need them, but they were there. Louisiana, the same thing. I think the governor, Democrat, good guy. And he will, I think, tell you a story that we had more than enough. And I said, well, we're supposed to build one more. I called him. I said, you know, if we don't have to build this hospital, it was an additional anywhere from 500 to 1,000 beds. If you don't need it, would it be possible that we don't build it? Would like to build it someplace else, or not build it at all and save money, which is okay for government too. Use it someplace else. And he called me back the next day and he said, sir, we don't need it. I said, that's great that you say that. I appreciate it. And he didn't need it, but we were ready to go. We took good care of Louisiana. We took good care of Michigan. We took good care of every place. We didn't miss a trick. And we're in great shape on testing. We have different platforms. We actually have 9 different platforms, and on Monday we're going to be adding one that'll be 9 to 10. I don't like to count on them before they're up, but we'll have anywhere from 9 to 10 platforms with a tremendous testing capability, and people can go, and especially with phase 1. Now, at the same time, just like with ventilators, we're building now the best ventilators. Just like with ventilators, our testing is getting better and better. I took the first test. The first test was not pleasant. This was not a pleasant thing. I said, you got to be kidding, to the doctor. You got to be kidding. Up your nose, and then we hang a right, and it goes down here, and then we'll wiggle it around here under your eye, and then we'll pull it out, and we'll say, I said, no, there's no way that can happen. Is that the way it goes? You sure? This was a very unpleasant test. And then I was tested a few weeks later with the new test that just came out, the Abbott, where they just touch your nose, basically, and they put it in a machine, and literally a few minutes later, they tell you if you're fine. And I was lucky in both cases, because I've seen the damage that this does to people. But we have great tests. They've really gotten better and better and better as we go along. But we have a tremendous laboratory capability all over the country. And for some reason, the governors, they're not, a lot of them are, but some of the governors like to complain and they're not using it. We have tremendous capability. We're ready for them. And as we go along, just like with the ventilators, we'll get better, more advanced, and, you know, we'll be able to do things that nobody would have even believed possible. But we started off with a broken system. We inherited a broken, terrible system. And I always say it, our cupboards were bare. We had very little in our stockpile. Now we're loaded up. And we also loaded up these hospitals. And, you know, we're talking about payment. We gave billions of dollars worth of things to hospitals. And we'll have to work that out at some point. In fact, I guess they're going to be working that out with Congress. But we loaded up hospitals. The federal government loaded up hospitals with things to take care of people that are very desperately ill. We weren't worried about payment at that time. We said, you'll take care of it at the right time. But we gave billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of medical goods and medicines and equipment to hospitals. And we'll work it out with them. But people don't like to talk about that. So we have done a job that nobody believed. This was a military and private enterprises march. We marched. And unfortunately, with the other side, because they're viewing it as an election. How did President Trump do? Oh, he did terribly. Let's see. He did terribly. Oh, but we just got them the ventilators that they didn't have that they should have had. We just got them hospital beds by the thousands. We just got them testing that they don't even know how to use. In some cases, they have machines that they're only using 5% and 10% of the machine because they have an advanced machine and they don't know how to use it. It can do much more. So we've had people explain how to use it. So I don't know. I don't think I'd do that on the other side. I really don't. I think that here we have a crisis and we have to work together, and I hope we're going to work together. But we're moving along, and we're moving along well. We're moving along well. This should not be a partisan witch hunt, like the Russia witch hunt that turned out to be a total phony deal. Unfortunately, some of these voices, though, are attempting to bring this into politics, and whether it's testing or ventilators or hospital beds or other dimensions of our sweeping public health response, we have had a sweeping response. In speaking to the leaders of other countries this morning, they said, this is incredible the way you've done this so quickly. We're only talking about a few weeks since everybody knew this was such a big problem. And the rest of the world is watching, and they respect what we've done, because I don't think I know nobody else could have done what we've done. And we started with garbage. As our expert said yesterday, America's testing capability and capacity is fully sufficient to begin opening up the country totally. Indeed, our system is by far the most robust and advanced anywhere in the world by far. The rest of the world will tell you that. I spoke this morning to a friend of mine, President Moon of South Korea. He just won the election. He won it by a lot. He had a big victory, which I was happy about. And he was saying what a great job we've done in this country. I told him the same thing. He said, what a great job we've done here in this country. So I appreciated that. He had a great victory, and we're very happy about that from the standpoint of our country, working very well with them. South Korea. As we approach, and the approach that we use, but as we approach, hopefully, the downward side of what's going on, I think you're going to see some incredible hard facts and evidence that what we did was right. There's a lot of talk about herd, the word herd. I don't want to show you charts of people that went a different way, but it's scary. It's scary. We would have had, I think, millions of people die had we done a different way. And I think numbers are just coming out where they're estimating 60,000 people will die. That's horrible. I always say one person is too much, especially in this case when it could have been stopped in China. Could have been stopped in China before it started. And it wasn't. And the whole world is suffering because of it. But this herd concept, and everybody had to think of it at the beginning, because look at us. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. Better than China, better than any country in the world, better than any country has ever had. We had the highest stock market in history by far, and I'm honored by the fact that it has started to go up very substantially. That's because the market is smart. The market is actually brilliant. I've seen it. And they're viewing it like we've done a good job. They view it that way. Because if you would have told me that we're at 24,000 or beyond, and the highest we were ever was, we never hit 30. We were getting close to 30. So let's say around 29,000, we're at 24. we were heading down, I start to say, oh, wow, we may be heading into territory where I started. I didn't like that. Now we're way up. But if you would have said to me, with what we've gone through, not caused by our country or our people or not caused by certainly anybody within our country, but if you would have said that after going through this horrible plague, that we'd have a stock market that's much, much higher than when I started, much higher than where I started. And I think I think we have tremendous momentum. We have a big election coming up, but I think we have tremendous momentum. First, we get rid of the plague. And because of what we're doing with the PPP, what we're doing with the paycheck, as we call it, I think we have a chance to have these companies get back to action quickly. But our approach to testing is based on facts, data, and very hard evidence, not partisan agendas or coordinated political talking points. Mike Pence, who's a phenomenal guy, is making the commencement address right now at the Air Force Academy, where they're being very politically correct. Everyone's standing not 6 feet, but 10 feet apart, okay? And it's very different. I made that speech last year. I'm going to West Point. I think they're changing the date to June 13th because of what's going on in New York. They're moving it to June 13th, West Point. So I'm doing that commencement speech, and they're going to have, sad, but it's a big start. They're going to have the cadets. They may not have the parents, but they're going to have the cadets. The parents are so proud of them. I know at the Air Force Academy, where Mike is speaking right now, they don't have the parents. They have the cadets. They're very, very widespread. And you talk about social distancing. I mean, they are really spread. I looked at it. They're using 10 feet. So he's doing that. But they're having it. It's very important to have it. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing. That's a big start. So he's there right now. And I will tell you, he's a gentleman, Mike Pence, a real gentleman. And the Democrat senators requested a phone call with him yesterday. And I think they had, for the most part, all of them on, like approximately 47. I heard it was just about all of them, whatever it might be. I don't want to be wrong by 1 or 2 or 10 and have the press say, he lied, he told a lie. Terrible, terrible. Whatever it was, but they have 47, and I guess most of them were on. I heard they were so rude. I used a term today. I said rude and nasty, but I heard they were so rude. No matter what he said, which was all very positive in terms of winning this battle against the invisible enemy, no matter what he said, they were fresh, they were nasty, and it was, I heard, just a terrible thing. And I said, Mike, that's politics. That's what it is. If we came into this room today and said, the battle is over, we have won, it's 100% gone, the Democrats would say the president has done a horrible job. He has done a disgraceful job. It is a shame how bad he is. You know, this is the talking points. This is political, and it would be nice not to have that, especially when we've done the job we've done. I mean, all you have to do is look at the big V for victory or V for ventilator. Take a look at it. Everybody said they had us on that. They had us. They thought they had us, but we got them done at numbers that nobody would have believed. And we did use our act, our production act, and we used it, but we didn't use it. We didn't need it like a hammer. All we had to do, for the most part, we used it actually in a number of cases, but for the most part, all we had to do is talk about it. All we had to do is say, we're going to use it if you don't do this. And everybody was, for the most part, good. We used it a couple of times because it didn't work out the easy way, but it worked out the hard way. But whether it was masks or ventilators, it was incredible what we've been able to do. So this is a very critical time for the American people, and the American people deserve real information and responsible and thoughtful dialogue from their elected leaders and from the media. The media's been some very honest, but some very dishonest. You know that. You know that. I mean, I even read a story where Mark Meadows, a tough guy, he was crying. He was crying. This was Maggie Haberman. You know, she won a Pulitzer Prize for her coverage of Russia, but she was wrong on Russia. So was everyone else. They should all give back their Pulitzer Prizes. In fact, it turned out that the crime was committed by the other side. The crime was not committed by this side. It was committed by the other side, a bunch of bad people. You saw the reports coming out over the last 2 weeks. They got caught. So Maggie Haberman gets a Pulitzer Prize. She's a third-rate reporter, New York Times. And we put her name up here last week. You saw that. People thought it was a commercial. It wasn't a commercial. It's like a commercial, but it wasn't a commercial. It was just clips. And because we exposed her as being a bad reporter, what happened is she came out and said, Mark Meadows was crying, and they made it sound. I said, Mark, and it's okay if he did. I wouldn't, look. But I think he was crying probably really for the wrong reason. They had it down. But he's not a crier. And if he was, I've known criers. I could tell you people that you know that are very famous. They cry, and that's okay too. But it was a nasty story in so many ways. It was fake news. And she only did it because we exposed her for being a terrible, dishonest reporter. She is. I've known her for a long while. I haven't spoken to her a long time. I made the mistake. I take a picture with her at the desk a long time ago. Every time she does a story, if I say, I haven't spoken to her in many, many, many months, maybe years, I don't speak to her. She's fake. A lot of people are fake. A lot of people. We get a lot of fake people. But what happens is she writes this story as retribution, puts it in the New York Times, and the New York Times is a very dishonest newspaper. It's my opinion. It's not an opinion. It's actually, from my standpoint, the very hard thing to figure, though, most people wouldn't know that, but I know it because I know the facts. And they make up, I said it today, they make up words. Sources say, most often used, sources say. You know what sources say means? Sources say means they have nobody, and they make it up, okay? And they have a few other type statements that mean the same thing. But sources say is the most often used expression in the Washington Post, New York Times especially, CNN, fake news, CNN. They should really be mandated, and I mean mandated, to use a name. If there's a source, use a name. Say that Kayleigh McEnany said, or somebody. And you'd find out that the, number one, the source wouldn't say it. The sources don't exist. I don't believe the sources exist. And I try and tell this. The beautiful thing about doing these conferences is that we have tremendous numbers of viewers, and I'm able to reach the viewers without having to go through fake news where they make a good story into a bad story. So with all of that, it's been an incredible period of time. We've done a fantastic job with the talk of other nations. The leaders of other nations are calling us for help. They're calling us for equipment. They're calling us for testing capacities. Now, with the testing, we are going further. Deborah's going to talk about that now. With the testing, we have some other tests coming up that are going to be, I think, phenomenal. I think they're going to blow away everything as soon as they come out. And we're going to get them out as soon as possible. But I'd like to ask Dr. Birx to come up and say a few words about where we've come, how far we've come, and more importantly, where we're going from this point. Because honestly, it's quite amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we could have the first slide. I wanted to give you an update on where we are as states and as counties and as cities. I know you all are watching carefully. The numbers have shifted over the last few days. What happens when when states change the reporting from confirmed to probable? So now all probable cases are included. They had to add them back in. Even though the cases may have been from March, they were added over 14th, 15th, and 16th of April, and states may continue to be adding them. Eventually, we're hoping that those get accounted for on the day when the presumptive cases or the probable cases were counted, but right now they're added in one fell swoop. So this is New York and New Jersey, and I think we all know how difficult and what a difficult time both New York and New Jersey have had. I call your attention to the axis. It goes up to 250,000 cases, so you can get a frame of how we're talking about some of the other metro areas. Next slide. These are the 25 metro areas, the top 25 metro areas, and you can only see the New York metro area in this slide. Again, the axis goes up to about 300,000, includes the New Jersey part of the metro area as well as part of southern Connecticut. Next slide. But if I take New York out, and the reason I wanted to do that, now the axis is 1/10 of the previous axis. So that previous axis, the previous slide, 300,000. This slide, 30,000. So that will give you a frame of reference for some of these other metros. The reason I wanted to show you this is cumulative cases, and we are still tracking very closely the issues in Chicago and Boston. But on this slide, I hope you can see the yellow line. That is Detroit. And Detroit, and this mayor of Detroit has really done an extraordinary job, and the people of Detroit have done an extraordinary job with their social distancing. The other line I want to call your attention to is the line here. This is New Orleans. And I think, frankly, I was concerned about New Orleans because they had a lot of pre-existing comorbidities. They have 2 or 3 major hospitals, but cover a very large area of geographic area. And that other blue line that you can see that's down right here, that's the Seattle line. And you can see that their response, because of the nursing home alert, they were one of the first states and the first metro areas to really move to social distancing. And so they've really never had a peak like many of the other metros. Next slide. And then I just want to take you through some of these new case graphics. That was cumulative cases. This is daily cases. And obviously there's a lot of variability in reporting, but you get a sense over time when you look at daily cases. So New Orleans is on panel on your left and Baton Rouge on your right. But you can see clearly New Orleans about a month ago, very low levels, probably less than 50 cases, large peak and spike around the beginning of April, and they have come down. And they have down to very few cases. Again, I showed you before how both their syndromic cases have come down as well as their actual number of cases. Next slide. This is Seattle. So you can see they had a much lower peak. And this is when we talk about flattening the curve. This is what flattening the curve looks like. It becomes a longer, slower decline, but it never gets very high and then goes back down. Next slide. And then this is Detroit. And we always look at the metros as a consolidated. So this is both Wayne and Oakland in Michigan. And we really want to thank the mayor for the incredible job that they have done to really ensure that everyone is receiving the adequate health care and testing. And they've done quite a good job with testing in Michigan. But all of these states, Louisiana and New York, have tested 30,000 per million inhabitants. Those are some of our highest numbers across the board. And next slide. And so the president talked about the case fatality rates, and we've lost a lot of Americans to this disease, and we pray and hope for each one of them that are in the hospitals and the excellent care. What this graph illustrates is the amazing work of the American people to really adhere to social distancing. This was nothing we had ever attempted to do as a nation, and the world hadn't attempted to do. But they were able to decrease the number of cases so that in general, most of the metro areas never had an issue of complete crisis care of all of their hospitals in a region. And so you can see our case fatality rate is about half to a third of many of the other countries.
Excuse me, does anybody really believe this number? Does anybody really believe this number?
I put China on there so you could see how basically unrealistic this could be. When highly developed healthcare delivery systems of the United Kingdom and France and Belgium and Italy and Spain with extraordinary doctors and nurses and equipment have case fatality rates in the 20s up to 45, and Belgium is extraordinarily competent healthcare delivery system, and then China at 0.33. You realize that these numbers, even then this includes the doubled number out of Wuhan. And so I want it really to put it in perspective, but I wanted you also to see how great the care has been for every American that has been hospitalized, and the extraordinary work of our doctors and nurses and our laboratorians on the front line who have been doing an excellent job. Next slide. And then we also wanted to show...
Also the number for Iran. Does anybody really believe that number? You see what's going on over there. Does anybody, you put that slide back if you would. Does anybody believe this number? Does anybody believe this number? You saw more
And this is why
bags on television than that.
this is why the reporting is so important. And I think you remember almost 6 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was telling you what Italy was showing to us and what France was telling to us and the warnings that they gave to us and said, be very careful. There's an extraordinary high mortality among people with pre-existing conditions. And we used their information to bring that to the American people. That alert before we even had significant cases, came from our European colleagues on the front line. And that's why we keep coming back to how important in a pandemic and a new disease, it's really critical to have that level of transparency because it changes how we work as a nation. It allowed us on over March 15th to make an alert out there about vulnerable individuals and the need to protect them, and my call out to millennials to really protect their parents, protect their grandparents, and get that information out to everyone, that there were pre-existing conditions that put people at greater risk. That information came from our European colleagues who were in the midst of their battle themselves. And so there is never an excuse to not share information. When you are the first country to have an outbreak, you really have a moral obligation to the world to not only talk about it, but provide that information that's critical to the rest of the world to really respond to this credibly. And I really want to thank our European colleagues who worked so hard to get us that information, even in the midst of their own tragedies. And I think that really shows how important transparency is. And we go to the next slide. We can show you this really encouraging and great news. So we know that fatalities will continue to lag because people are in hospitals still, and some are still in intensive care units. But these COVID-like illnesses, this is our hospitalizations that are related to flu per 100,000 Americans. This is this year's flu season, and you can see our COVID-like illnesses, and this is all of them, probable and confirmed cases. Our hospitalizations are declining. Now, I showed you metros that have made tremendous progress, and we've been up here many times talking about it being 6, 10, 15 additional cities. And now we're really just focused on Chicago and Boston and Massachusetts, and really some issues that Providence is starting to improve now, so their relationship to the two large outbreak cities. But this is really reassuring to us of the progress we're making across the country against this disease. And I just really want to conclude by thanking again the American people for making these type of graphics possible. Thank the data team who puts these together for me. So they are working till about 3:30 every morning to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information. That's the data that goes to our supply chain individuals to ensure that every hospital in every state and every community has what they need based on data, and to make sure that we're serving the needs of the American people as effectively as possible. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. You did a fantastic job. Is it yours? Thank you very much. The fact is that we've been learning a lot from Deborah and Tony and so many of the professionals, the director. PEPFAR, we're spending the United States, without help to the best of my knowledge, mostly in Africa, $6 billion a year. And that's on AIDS. What we've done for AIDS in Africa is unbelievable. We spend $6 billion a year. That's been going on for a long time. Nobody knows that. You've never heard that. I've never heard that. $6 billion a year. millions of people are living right now and living very comfortably because of the fact that we have found the answer to that horrible, horrible plague. That was a plague. But we spend $6 billion a year. And from what I hear, it's very well spent, done by professionals, including this great professional right here. That was the thing that you worked hardest on and something that was very close to her heart. So it's, it's something that I think people should start hearing. The World Health Organization, we're just finding more and more problems, and we spend this money really well. There are other ways we can spend the $500 million. That's $500 million. This is $6 billion. But we can find other ways to spend it where people are going to be helped, we think, in a much greater way. We're doing some research on certain people that take a lot of credit for what they do. And NIH is giving away a lot of money. We give away for many years, they give away a lot of money. And some people complain and some people don't. Some people are extremely happy. So we're looking into that also. They're giving away approximately, as I understand it, recently more than $32 billion a year. $32 billion. And so we've been looking at that for a while, and we're going to be having some statements to be made about that. $32 billion a year. It's a lot of money, and we want to make sure it's being spent wisely, and we've been doing that, by the way, and we'll have some statements on that. And those are much bigger numbers than what we're talking about with national. If you look at with our friends from wherever they come from, 500 million is a lot of money, but it's not a lot compared to the kind of money that we give out. I think over the years it's been averaging about $32 billion. $32 billion. So we've had our eye on that one for a while. We also talked about the lab in China, where I guess 3.7 million was given some time ago, and we're looking at that very closely. Chief of Staff has that pretty much under control, but it's money that, too bad it got spent there. But that was spent, what year was that, Mark? It was 4 or 5 years ago.
Over the last 6 years.
6 years ago, approximately. So we're looking at that, and that's the lab that people are talking about. All right, so we're looking at a lot of things. There's tremendous waste in our government. We found it in many different ways and in many different forms. And this is one of them. This is one of them. We can spend, I was talking to Dr. Birx, we can spend $500 million using all of it in a much more efficient manner if we choose to do that. And it'll be to the good of many more people than are getting it right now. But you look at the mistakes that were made, I mean, so late, long after I said we have to close off our country. They were actually against our closing off our country to China when I did that in January. They were against that. They didn't like the idea of closing off our country. They said it was a bad thing to do, actually. And they've since taken that back. But it was a very lucky thing that we did it. Very lucky. We would have had numbers that were very significantly greater. Tony Fauci said that. He said it would have been very significantly greater had we not done that. So we made a lot of moves that were good moves, but it's still a very depressing subject because it's a lot of death. And if it was stopped very early on at the source, before it started blowing into these proportions, you have 184 countries that would have been in a lot better shape. But our country is getting back, and I expect that we're going to be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. I will take a few questions. Jeff?
Mr. President, you've mentioned, and the doctor has mentioned China a few times today, that clearly suggesting that the data has not been good. And that
Well, you tell me, do you think that data is good when you see that? Do you think that's correct, okay? Do you honestly believe that's correct?
pretty dramatic contrast. So my question for
Dramatic?
you,
Yeah, that's dramatic.
so my question for you, sir, is
Why didn't the press, why didn't you people figure that out, though? Why do we have to put up a chart? The number is impossible. It's an impossible number to hit. But why haven't you come up and said that?
the question, sir, is China now cooperating with the United States to figure out what happened, and what do you want from them now?
Well, they said they're doing an investigation, that they're doing an investigation. So let's see what happens with their investigation, but we're doing investigations also. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, sir. You've spoken, we heard Dr. Birx a moment ago say that every country has a responsibility to tell the rest of the world what's going on. You've talked repeatedly about how this could have been stopped in the past. I know you don't want to telegraph what you would do, but do you think that there should be some consequences if in the end, China was responsible for all of this?
Well, if they were knowingly responsible, certainly. If it was a mistake is a mistake. But if they were knowingly responsible, yeah, then there should be consequences. You're talking about, potentially lives like nobody's seen since 1917. And, the other thing, had we not done what we did in terms of closing, because there is that concept of let's let it ride. But at some point, I'm going to have to, I don't want to embarrass countries that I like and leaders that I like, but you have to see some of these numbers. In my opinion, so we're talking about maybe 60,000 or so. That's a lot of people, but that's 100,000 was the minimum we thought that we could get to, and we will be lower than that number, anywhere from 100 to 220,000 people. But I really believe it could have been millions of people had we not done what we did. We made a lot of good decisions, but one of those things. Go ahead.
Have you ruled out that this was an unknowing situation? Have you ruled
I haven't
that
ruled
there was
out
no-
anything. I want to
Okay.
look at the facts as they come in. No, I want to look at the facts, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Sure.
Last week, you claimed that you're in charge of everything, yet the American people don't understand why you're unwilling to use the awesome powers of your presidency to make American companies manufacture the PPE and also the testing equipment that you
Who
need
you
to
with?
implement your recommendations.
I know, but who are you
on
with?
I'm with TMN. Recommendations for
TMN, what is
Talk
TMN?
Media News.
What?
My name is Doug Christian with Talk Media News. Yes.
Talk Media News.
Yeah. And
Go ahead, keep reading your question.
the thing is how to make companies build these testing equipment so that you can do what you want.
Well, we're doing that right
recommended.
now. We're doing it. We're doing it right now with ventilators. We have General Motors. We have General Electric. We have 11 different companies, great companies, building them for us all over the United States. We're starting to make our own gowns, as they call it. We're making some incredible things. And as far as the testing is concerned, most of that now is done in the United States. We're doing it in the United States, our different platforms. And so I just don't think you were listening.
Senators were complaining to,
Which
to
senators?
Vice President
Which
Pence
senators?
yesterday.
Which senators?
Independent Senator Angus King.
He's not an independent, okay? Angus King is worse than any Democrat. Go ahead.
But he said that he was livid, actually.
Of course he said that, because he's a Democrat, okay? Angus King is not an independent. He uses that term for whatever reason. It's a waste of time.
But he's not a very emotive type
Oh,
of
yes,
senator.
he is. You haven't seen him, okay? You haven't seen him. No. Angus King is a Democrat, and that was totally staged. I heard that, and it was totally staged. Just like you read the question, he read his question. Yeah, please, in the back.
Mr. President, I want to ask you about one of your retweets that you.
Which one?
The one you retweeted from Paul Sperry. Let's see if authorities enforce the social distancing orders for mosques during Ramadan, like they did churches during Easter. I'm wondering.
Yeah, no, I would like to see that. And, I just spoke with leaders and people that love mosques. They love mosques. And I'm all in favor of that. But I would say that there could be a difference, and we'll have to see what will happen. Because I've seen a great disparity in this country. I've seen a great disparity. I mean, I've seen a very strong anti-Israel bent in Congress with Democrats. It was unthinkable 7 or 8 or 10 years ago, and now they're into a whole different thing between Omar and AOC. I say AOC plus 3, add them on. You have, I mean, the things that they say about Israel are so bad. And I can't believe it. Now, just a minute. So I would be interested to see that, because they go after Christian churches, but they don't tend to go after mosques. And I don't want them to go after mosques, but I do want to see what their what their bent is. Yes, please, in the back.
Mr. President, that in fact,
Go ahead,
that you're
please.
suggesting that imams wouldn't follow social
No,
distancing?
I think that I just had a call with imams. I just had a call with ministers, rabbis. We had a tremendous call with the faith leaders. No, I don't think that at all. I am somebody that believes in faith, and it matters not what your faith is, but our politicians seem to treat different faiths very differently, and they seem to think, I don't know what happened with our country, but the Christian faith is treated much differently than it was, and I think it's treated very unfairly. Yes, please, go ahead in the back.
I just want to ask, though, if the
Let's go.
Department of Justice will in fact support.
OAN, please. OAN.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Paycheck Protection Program saved an estimated 15 million jobs. It's run out of money. The Democrats, specifically Nancy Pelosi, have been blocking that funding.
Yeah.
Do you know why Speaker Pelosi is dragging her feet on that?
Well, she thinks it's politics. I don't think it's good politics. Nancy Pelosi's been blocking it. Schumer's been blocking it. And I think they think it's good politics. I don't think it's good politics. I think it's bad politics, but I don't care about the politics. It's so great for our country because we're going to have all of these companies that are, it's a bigger employer. Let's say it's the same, but essentially it's the same power, all of these small businesses added together as the big companies. It's about 50-50. And it's so important. And they will be scattered if we weren't able to do what we're doing. And essentially, we're giving these small businesses that won't make it, they can't because they're closed. We're giving them money to take care of their employees so when we open, they can get back into business. It's been a very popular plan, even with Democrats. I think it basically passed unanimously twice, the first section, which is $350 billion. So we're trying to get 250. Nancy Pelosi is blocking it. She sits in her house in San Francisco, overlooking the ocean, and she doesn't want to come back. She doesn't want to come back. She doesn't want to come back to D.C. She's got to get back and get this thing approved. It's very important. Please, go ahead.
Dr. Birx, if I may, you again praised the American people for doing their bit over the past few weeks. But what goes through your mind when you see photographs of crowded beaches in Florida? Is that a concern for when we start seeing some of these restrictions being lifted?
Well, as I described, we go metro by metro, county by county, and so I'd have to link that with a specific county and look at their case rates. I believe the governor and the public health system that Florida has, they have some of the best county public health individuals I have ever had to deal with. They are amazing because I had to work with them under HIV/AIDS. So if the county health directors believe that that's appropriate for their county, then I'm not going to second judge an individual's approach to this because I can't see into every single county and load the low rates. I can just see there's no cases. So I don't know if that's a county with very small cases or not, but I think their county health official would know.
And many of the counties, as you know, are really free of this horrible enemy. So we're opening up. You'll be seeing a lot of this country start to open up fairly quickly. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned the importance of social distancing, but for example, Stephen Moore, someone you appointed to your Open the Country task force, is organizing a protest in Wisconsin, but aren't they in a sense protesting your very own guidelines?
Well, we have a flexibility. I didn't see what Stephen said. I can tell you he's a very good economist. He's been calling shots right.
He said we need to be the Rosa Parks of government injustices.
Well, there is a lot of injustice. When you look at Virginia, where they want to take your guns away, they want to violate your Second Amendment. When you look at, look, I'm getting along very nicely with the governor of Michigan, but she has things, don't buy paint, don't buy roses, she's got all these crazy things. I really believe somebody sitting in their boat in a lake should be okay. They shouldn't arrest people. Some of them are being unreasonable. I really believe that. They're being unreasonable. But I think Virginia is a great case, though, because they're using this. They're trying to take your guns away in Virginia. And if people in Virginia aren't careful, that's what's going to happen to them. So, yeah, I could see where he's coming from. I think it's a strong statement, because hopefully this will be over very soon for all of us. But some have gotten carried away. They have absolutely gotten carried away.
Some of these protesters are protesting your social distancing guidelines?
I don't know. I mean, I notice there are a lot of protests out there. And I just think that some of the governors have gotten carried away. You know, you have a lot of people that don't have to be told to do what they're doing. They've been really doing everything we've asked them. We have a few states where, frankly, I spoke to the governors, and I could have gotten them to do, if I wanted to do what would have been perhaps politically correct. But they've been doing incredibly anyway. And as one of them said, everybody's doing exactly the same. In fact, our record is better than states where they're under a mandate or, you know, where they've agreed to do certain things. Now, we have some great states out there. We have incredible people in our country. And for the most part, that it's a strong statement, but I understand where he's coming from. And I think one of the greats would be one of the really important places that people really have to start looking at is what's going on in Virginia, because that's a mess with a with really a governor that's under siege anyway. Yeah, please. No, with the beautiful head of white hair. Go ahead. I'll tell you if I like his hair in about a minute after he asks the question.
The Wall Street Journal. On that point, though, does the tweeting about, in the case of Virginia, linking the Second Amendment to some of these issues about lifting some of these restrictions in these states, not potentially pose a concern for the governors and civil unrest and potentially in those cases? And I have a second question, too.
Well, I think just for that question, I think that's an easy one. That's not even politics. We're entitled to a Second Amendment, and he's trying to take the Second Amendment, meaning that state is trying to take the Democrats in that state. The Republicans are fighting it. They're trying to take that Second Amendment right, that Second Amendment right away. To me, that's liberty. That's when I say liberate Virginia, I would say liberate Virginia when that kind of thing happens. And where does it all stop? So I think it's a very good analogy. Go ahead.
Sure. I mean, is this the right time to kind of bring in a Second Amendment issue?
I think when they talk about taking your guns away, and if you notice, at the beginning of this pandemic, there were more guns sold, I think, than at almost any time in history. So it's obviously a big issue. And then you have them working and signing documents trying to take your Second Amendment away, essentially. So I do think it's an appropriate time to bring it up. Go ahead, second.
This past week, after kind of an extraordinary slew of events from adversaries, North Korea, Russia, China, and Iran, all kind of pushing back on U.S. policy or toying with U.S. military forces, what's your message to some of these countries who may be trying to take advantage?
I don't see it. No, I don't see it. We had a very good relationship with Russia. We worked on the oil deal together. I was with by telephone, King of Saudi Arabia and the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We worked out a deal on oil. That was a very important deal to them and to us and to Saudi Arabia. It was in a deadlock. You know it. You covered it very well. Actually, Wall Street Journal covered that very well. I worked with Putin and with the king on that. And President Putin was a total gentleman, and it was very important to get that done. And the king was great. And we actually had to bring in Mexico because Mexico was a lone holdout, and they showed great flexibility. You know the story. No, I think we're doing fine. Yeah, sure. It's North Korea. I see they're testing short-range missiles, and been doing it a long time. I received a nice note from him recently. It was a nice note. I think we're doing fine. Look, if I wasn't elected, you would right now be at war with North Korea. Okay, I'll tell you for your people that don't understand the world and they don't understand how life works. If I wasn't elected, you would right now. Maybe the war would be over. Hopefully with a victory. But if you remember when I first came in, we didn't have ammunition. Not a good way to fight a war. President Obama left us no ammunition, okay? And he left us virtually no medical and ventilators. He left us, the cupboard was dry, right? The cupboard was dry. No, I think right now you'd be at war, essentially, in some form. Be over, it would be raging with North Korea if I weren't president. And we're doing just fine with North Korea, just fine. Let's see how it all ends up. You know, in the meantime, they said, oh, Trump's given up. And then they said, oh, really, what's he given up? And they said, I don't know. Then they said, he met. Oh, I met. No, I have a good relationship with Kim Jong-un. That's not a bad thing to have a good relationship. Obama wanted a relationship. He wouldn't meet with Obama. Wouldn't meet with him. Okay, I have a good relationship with him. We met at the line. I stepped over the line. The first time anything like that's ever. It's all good. It's good. But when they say, the stupid people, I call them stupid people, or the haters, they say, Trump's given up so much. Really? I've actually increased the sanctions. China's been very good on the border. In fact, right now, the border is stone cold closed between China and North Korea. Our relationship with China was good until they did this. Once we found out about this, once we found out, look, we just made a trade deal where China's going to have to buy $250 billion a year in our product, $50 billion from the farmers, $40 to $50 billion from the farmers. The relationship was good when we were signing that, but then all of a sudden you hear about this. So it's a big difference. You know, the question was asked, would you be angry at China? Well, the answer might very well be a very resounding yes, but it depends. Was it a mistake that got out of control, or was it done deliberately? Okay, there's a big difference between those two. In either event, they should have let us go in. You know, we asked to go in very early, and they didn't want us in. I think they were embarrassed. I think they knew it was something bad, and I think they were embarrassed. But, you know, no, I think we're doing very well. Well, so you said Russia, you said China, you said North Korea. Iran. When I came in, Iran was a terror. We had 82 points of fighting. We had 18 points of major confliction. The first week, I said, tell me about Iran. Sir, we have 18 points of confliction, meaning Yemen, Syria, all Iraq. They're going into Iraq all over the place. They're a much different nation right now. I stopped that horrible deal, and they want to talk, except that Kerry violated the Logan Act. He made the deal, and he doesn't want them to make a deal because I would have made a deal, in my opinion, except that John Kerry, who made the deal originally, which was a stupid deal to make, gave him $150 billion, gave him $1.8 billion in cash, in green. That would be more than this room 10 times with $100 bills. You could fill up this room 10 times with $100 bills, and it's not that small a room. And I say he violated the Logan Act. I think it was a major violation. I think we would have had a deal if it wasn't for John Kerry. But he doesn't want to be, number one, embarrassed. Number two, he said, let's wait till after the election. Maybe Sleepy Joe Biden's going to win. And if Sleepy Joe Biden wins, you'll own the United States. And China will own the United States. China's paid us, you know, from the Wall Street Journal, hundreds of billions of dollars. Is that right? Tariffs. And we gave a lot of that money, a small percentage, but a lot of money to the farmers. And it kept the farmers going great. Right? But hundreds, we're getting tens of billions of dollars in tariffs. And by the way, for those of you that say, oh, we're paying, China devalued their currency in order to pay these. We didn't pay. China paid. They don't like to write that. They also added money into their system. So they paid for that. No, I think you have numerous countries waiting to see whether or not Sleepy Joe wins, because if Sleepy Joe won, they own our country. They will take our country. You know, we had, go back 2 months, we had by far, and China was supposed to catch us. You know better than anybody, Wall Street Journal. For years I've heard, by 2019, China will catch us. There's only one problem. Trump got elected in 2016. That was a big difference. And we were going leaps and bounds above China. And before the problem with the plague, right? China was having the worst year they've had in 67 years. That was before the plague. Now they're getting really hurt, and so is everybody getting hurt. I don't want them to get hurt, but they're all getting hurt. Everybody's getting hurt. It's a horrible thing that's happened. But we had the greatest economy in the world by far. China isn't even close. Go back 2 months. And we're going to keep it that way. But when you mention Iran, Iran is a much different country than it was. When I first came in, Iran was going to take over the entire Middle East. Right now, they just want to survive. They're having protests every week. They're loaded up with the plague, which I don't want. I've offered to help them if they want. If they need ventilators, which they do, I would send them ventilators. We have thousands of excess ventilators coming in. And here, we have a stockpile of ventilators, and we're starting to send them so that hospitals can fill up their stockpile, which they should have. New York had a chance to get 16,000 ventilators, and they chose not to do it, and I understand that. It's a hard decision for a thing that may or may not happen. I fully understand that. I'm not even complaining about that. I'm only saying this. Iran was a terror when I came into office. Right now, they don't want to mess around with us. They don't want to mess around with us. Two things. North Korea, Same sanctions we've always had, except more. We haven't given anything. I think you'll hopefully take that back to the Wall Street Journal because they really don't understand it. They really don't. And with Iran, I mean, that's a different country right now. And they want to make a deal. The only reason they don't, they're being shamed in because the guy that gave them the sweetheart didn't want to met with them many times. He should have never met with them. And in my opinion, he's telling them, don't wait. Maybe Trump will lose, and then you can negotiate with a patsy, with a weak guy, and you'll take over between you and Russia. Nobody's been tougher on Putin. He knows it better than anybody. Nobody's been tougher on Putin than me. Look at the sanctions. Look at what I did with their pipeline going into Europe. Nobody even knew about it. I exposed it. Now everybody talks about it. I think it's a terrible thing for Germany to do. But at the same time, I have a very good relationship with Putin, and I was able to make a deal with Russia and Saudi Arabia and OPEC Plus. They call it OPEC Plus. That's going to save us, Texas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, other states, energy states, going to save us hundreds of thousands of jobs. And in fact, your paper wrote an incredible editorial for a change that Trump made a great deal for our country. That was a nice thing. I was shocked to see it coming out of the Wall Street Journal. Thank you all very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
How many asymptomatic people have been tested? Is it possible?
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. We also like to give a big thank you to RWG1949YT for your support through Super Chat. Thank you so much, folks, everyone that shared the live stream today. You guys are amazing. You guys do an amazing job, and we thank you so much. President Trump is having another White House coronavirus press briefing tomorrow, so make sure you guys join us for that. Make sure that you subscribe and you click that notification bell. Hopefully YouTube sends you a notification tomorrow for that press briefing. But if you want to get a notification directly by us, don't forget, subscribe and click that bell anyway. But if you want to get notified by us here at Golden State Times, I will send you a text message instead of YouTube. That way I know that everyone that wants to get notified is notified on a daily basis. So if you want to get added to that list, that notification list, text the word Trump Live. Once again, text the word Trump Live to 555-888, just as you see it on your screen. If you want to get notified by us instead of YouTube through text message, then text the word Trump Live to the number 555-888. We also like to give a big thank you to the moderators for keeping the chat clean and enjoyable for everyone. If you missed the president's speech, any part of it, it's being uploaded right now. So just check back in a few moments. We want to give a big thank you to Steve Drake. Thank you so much, Steve, for your support through Super Chat. Thank you so much once again, Steve. And also RWG for your support through Super Chat. So once again, we are uploading right now the president's speech in case you guys missed it. So if you did miss it, just give us a few seconds and it should be up on the channel in just a few minutes. Don't forget, folks, to also subscribe and click that notification bell. President Trump is having another press briefing tomorrow. So make sure you click that subscribe button, that red button, subscribe button. And also don't forget to click the bell. We want to give a big thank you to, we want to give a big thank you to Jenda. I hope I said that correctly. Jenda Minoru. Thank you so much for your support through emoji Super Chat. Jenda, once again, thank you so much for your help. So here we go. All right, folks. So I'll be back on the microphone in just a few moments to give more shout outs to people that are following us on Twitter. If you haven't yet, follow us on Twitter right now, if you haven't yet, and we'll give you a shout out as a thank you for your support. And it also lets us know that you want to stay up to the second informed of everything that is going on in politics. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Gold, G-O-L-D, State Times. All together at Gold State Times. Follow us on Twitter right now, and we'll give you a shout out as a thank you for your support. And not only that, it shows us that you want to stay informed. All right, folks. So we're going to be giving shout outs to everyone that just followed us on Twitter. We're going to start off with Becky Buck, Jaron, Magnus, and also M. Hallmark, Adorable Deplorable, Joy R., Sharon, Paul Beck, Roxy Spencer, Red Pill Liberty, Ray, Betty Ann, Donald, Deplorable Granny, Alma Silberstein, and Patriot Mama Bear. Thank you so much for following us on Twitter. We're giving shout outs to everyone that is following us on Twitter. We want to give a big thank you to James. Thank you so much, James D. Heller, for following us on Twitter. And we also want to give a big thank you to everyone that is supporting us through sharing the stream and letting people know about Golden State Times. All of that helps out a lot, folks. I'll be back on the microphone. If anybody else follows us on Twitter, we'll give them a shout out as a thank you for your support. So if you haven't yet, follow us on Twitter. I was going to say share the stream. I'm sorry.
President, thank you. Earlier
All right, folks. So we have uploaded. Oh, we want to give a big thank you so much to Gwenda. Let's see. Where's that from earlier? Give me 1 second. I think that's from earlier. Okay, so thank you so much, Gwenda, for your support through Super Chat earlier. We have uploaded the president's speech. If you missed it, the Q&A with the media. If you missed it, we just uploaded it right now onto the channel. In case you guys want to check it out. Once again, if you missed President Trump's Q&A with reporters that just happened just a little bit, or even if you didn't miss it and you want to help us out, just head over to the video, the link that I am putting in the chat. I don't want to spam it, but I just want to show you guys that it has been uploaded. So if you can click on that link, head over to the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it on social media. That would be amazing. That helps us out immensely. But if you did miss it, make sure you watch it. Even if you saw it, watch it again, or just go over there, give it a thumbs up, and share it on social media. Thank you so much to everyone that is still in the chat. You guys are awesome. If you guys have any questions, let me know. There was another protest earlier in Los Angeles today. There was another protest. There was one yesterday, but that one was in Orange County, and today it was in LA. So it's starting to move around, folks. There's a lot more of these protests that are going to be happening within the next few days, so stay tuned for that. Spam is okay. It's your channel. That's funny. It's our channel. Everyone that is subscribed here, it's our channel, folks. We go up and then down, and then, we cover everything 24/7, 365, no matter where the president is going to be, where he's going to be doing, where is he going to be speaking. It does not matter. We're there to cover him fairly and completely. And you guys are our +1. You guys are our guests to all of these events, so we can watch them all together. We all learn together. We all talk about it, and we become better people at the same time. We're up to date on everything that goes on in politics. That's a very, very good thing. That's a huge asset. Knowing what your government is doing. It's a very good thing. So thank you so much to everyone that is a subscriber here. Or if you follow us on Twitter at Gold State Times, you follow the newsroom, you follow us on Facebook, wherever you follow us from mostly. Thank you so much for your help and your support. Supporting the free press is more important now than ever before. All right, folks, let me know in the chat if you guys got notified for the video that we just uploaded, the president's Q&A with reporters. We noticed that if we put President Trump's updates, we upload that video, and then we also put President Trump's Q&A in a separate video, a lot of more patriots watch it, because I believe that, if you put the whole thing, it will be like an hour and 45 minutes. But if you split it between two videos, you watch the whole thing. You watch the first, 30, 40 minutes, and then you watch the other half hour, 45 minutes of Q&A in two different videos on your own terms, in your own time. I think that works a lot better. And that's the way that we're doing it now. So we do the first hour, which is President Trump giving updates, coronavirus, any other updates that he has, whether it's government or politics or anything like that. And then the second hour, what we call the second hour, is President Trump doing a Q&A, question and answer with the fake news at the press briefing. So that's the way that we upload it. We upload it in two different pieces, but we stream it live completely from beginning to end. We do the pregame, hot mic, all that good stuff, and then President Trump uninterrupted as long as he needs to go, and then after that, we're pretty much done. So that is the way that we cover it. Just in case you're new to the channel and you want to know how we do things, that's exactly what we do. Pre-game, hot mic, President Trump uninterrupted, then we move on. Thank you so much, folks, and I hope to see you guys here tomorrow, bright and early, for another press briefing, more coverage of what's going on in politics, breaking news, scoops, and everything else in between. Don't forget to follow us at Gold State Times and check out our website, goldenstatetimes.com.